Hey, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depends upon where you're watching this from. We are Team Rocket, and this is our submission for our final team project for human computer interaction at our master's program in computer science for Georgia Tech. Now, this is built around a simple problem. We feel that the current landscape of electricity consumption tracking in India specifically is very fragmented and problematic. Each state operates its own applications and they create a patchwork of poorly designed interfaces that frustrate users and limit functionality. Now, what we wanted to do was to build a singular application that solves for nearly all of the problems that we encountered while interviewing a lot of people across these states in India. Some of them were just primarily allowing us to track our consumption trends better. Secondly, making the payment systems robust and trackable and largely, visually more attractive. Third, smaller accessibility related enhancements such as making it more multilingual, allowing us to track some different houses in in the same app, and then maybe going even further ahead and trying to create some kind of a smart home mapping which allows us to actually really look at something and understand what kind of a consumption would this article or would this device be giving us, right? So we brainstormed a lot and we created this prototype. So let's start. The first things first, this is the main screen, which is when the app opens into the dashboard. The first thing is you can actually select your house, whichever location you want to track, and you can add all locations in the same application instead of logging out and logging into another application or logging into a different account of the same application. We go back, we can change the language because this is multilingual again. This increases and enhances accessibility and flexibility. Now we can see an outage alert on the screen, which is a live animation which shows that there might be a chance of an outage. What we further see is the big dashboard, which is very beautifully created. This is trying to show us the current consumption for today. The two graphs, they show the consumption patterns for this month and the last month, and then the average daily units and the projected bill for this month, right? We can go further down and we can get a nice breakdown of the top consumption categories across your household. So temperature and cooling occupies the maximum, and others or appliances take about 17%, right? That's a very neat breakdown for us to visualize and understand which part of my electricity bill is attributed to what devices and what kind of categories. Now let's move on to the payment section. We can click on pay now here, or we can go to the payments tab. Let's click on pay now here. You'd get to the payments tab. This is a very nice singular overview of our previous bills so far and our projected bill for this month. It also shows the last bill payments. Along with that, it shows certain important details such as the dates for the payment and the methods that we used, which cards, what were their numbers. Now we can choose to prepay now. And what you see interestingly here, you see a couple of faces here. So we encountered during the course of our interviews and surveys, particularly in the second stage of need finding, that a lot of young Indian students or just young professionals started to rent out these flats with people, and electricity bills are still split like they did it in the medieval ages. So there is a need to create some kind of an equitable distribution depending upon the consumption by each of the flatmates or the housemates, right? So let's press prepay now, and then it has two options. You want to split the bill, you can of course add people, or you want to pay for yourself. We've kept this as default for now, split the bill. Then this is total amount paid. We can quickly check the breakdown. This is the meter charges, the unit charges, the taxes by Delhi government, and then we can just swipe to pay, and this will automatically pay the bill because we have got our cards linked in the backend, right? That is not shown in the screen, and this is the overall payment screen. We can download the invoice and we can keep this shared. Now let's go back and quickly jump to another big thing that we're trying to do here, which is the smart home. And this is a bit of a interesting thing that we try to create. We said that okay, we need to give a very granular breakdown of exactly which room and probably which device is consuming what kind of electricity each day, right? So this is what it shows. Today's usage, today's solar output. By the way, some houses, this came to us from one of the states in India called Gujarat, wherein people are very actively using solar panels, and they want to measure what is the output of the amount of solar power they generated. So this is now the total power consumption spent across different categories. So Sony TV or the Wi-Fi inverter, or the exhaust has consumed these many units. And then we have a room level breakdown, such as the living room, the kitchen, the master bedroom. Now, how you actually create these mappings into the living room or to the kitchen, and to identify, okay, this article or this device belongs to the kitchen, that's an entirely different, I think, segue. We're not showing it here. So let's just assume that we have figured out a way to map each device within a room to that room, and then map all of these rooms to the larger house, such that we can track the consumption of each house, each room within the house, right? One last very interesting screen that we created is called the leaderboard, and this is to encourage people to spend less electricity by trying to nudge them, by giving them some kind of rewards in form of an energy coin, kind of a reward system that allows us to track the consumption of each house against their neighbors. You can choose to add people, or you can just naturally be added to this leaderboard, depending upon whether you live in a society or whether you live in in an apartment. So what you see is your current earnings. If you can generate some coins, maybe you'll get some off on your next bill. And then the top earners today, and what they're consuming. So this is where we are, and I hope that this can be taken up by someone in real life and can be modified and made into a real application, because I think there are a lot of buyers and a lot of takers for this. So thank you.